Hello, Manuel. How are you? Good evening.
Hello, Atif. Nice to talk to you. I think we met for several years now, and
Yes, we met
it's a great,
years ago
yeah,
in
yeah,
some
it's
other
a great
platform.
pleasure to talk to you. So let's hear what you have to tell me.
Okay. Manuel, I welcome you on platform of HostNock. HostNock is a server solutions providing company. We basically sell dedicated servers and manage server services. I really welcome you on this platform. Uh, I'm going to take your interview as I already discussed with you. Uh, You are basically the creator and developer of community contributed PHP repository phpclasses.org. Uh, you have been very active in PHP community. You have great experience of generating websites with the help of community generated content. You have specialization in web-based applications in PHP. You have been coding since 80s. Now let's start your interview without any further delay. My first question is, you were an electronic engineering graduate. How did you transform into a PHP programmer?
Well, in reality, I was already a software developer way before I entered college. Um, I started programming and with 8-bit computers when I was 13. In the beginning, I didn't have my own computer. I used to borrow a computer of a friend. Actually, I was going to his house to visit him. We are just teenagers. We are very curious, and we wanted to, for instance, program uh, games like there were in those arcade machines that existed by then. I remember that the first game that I created, actually, I tried to copy, I mean, program the game in a personal computer that was like a poker game that you used to bet if you're going to get the right cards to get the right sequences, and it was fun. It was hard, but I was really motivated because I already liked programming computers a lot, even though I didn't have my computer. Um, Later, I got a computer at my parents' house. It was actually from my brother. And later, my parents bought my own computer. Uh, I owe my parents a lot because they were always very supportive. When I was 18, I developed a port of an arcade game called City Connection. It was a platforms game. Uh, I did the programming. Two other friends joined me. Ricardo was the graphics designer, and Paulo Gordinho was uh, the guy that did the conversion of the music tunes and audio effects. And it was a lot of work. We did it all in machine code. Uh, we worked with 8-bit processors, and it was hard, but it was fun. We actually tried to sell the game to software houses in England, but we're not successful at all. Several software houses did not show any interest, and because they need to license the original game from the original producer that was from Japan, and that was a sort of my first failure as an entrepreneur. uh, I started developing a product that I didn't know that there was a demand, and that is a big mistake that nowadays I know how to solve. Um, but that was like in the late 80s. Actually, I was invited to go to a TV show that existed in Portugal in the national television channel, RTP. That was the name of the channel. And I went to there. I was interviewed. I had my 5 minutes of fame, or maybe 15 minutes of fame, but that was it. Uh, I learned a lot. You can have fame, but it doesn't matter if you have fame if you don't have success. I did not succeed then, but I did not give up. Later, I joined electronics and telecommunications course in my university in Portugal, Universidade de Aveiro, and I stayed there for a lot more time than it was expected. My course was for 5 years. I took 7. My parents were already desperate, but I finally did it. It was hard, and it was not that much fun. Unfortunately, colleges are more oriented to theory and less in practice. And this is all related with what I do today. But continuing the story, um, uh, right after I ended college, I went to Spain, where I met my ex-wife, and she's Brazilian. We met there, and then later we moved to Brazil. But between moving to Brazil and leaving Spain, I was invited to go work for a short period of time to an American company. I developed some components for word processing software. It was also it is also an enriching experience because I didn't know very well the American culture and practices. Like everything else, there are good and bad things on every cultures, and I learned a lot. And I owe a lot to all the people that I learned from. When I moved to Brazil, it was in 1998. Right before that, I wrote a book called Being on the Internet. It was published in Portugal by Menuel. It was a famous publishing company. They said it was a bestseller. I made some money. I did not get rich. It doesn't matter because it was a great experience. Again, I learned a lot. But back to Brazil, where I finally joined my ex-wife. Well, nowadays it's my ex-wife, but I lived with her for we had started PHP classes. That was when all started. All that you know about PHP classes started. I started the site as a means to distribute my own programming components in PHP made by object-oriented programming classes, classes of objects. It is also interesting because it makes a certain confusion. Some people think PHP class is about teaching classes, but in reality they are classes of code, programming objects. And with that side, I started having a solid experience as an entrepreneur because my son was born like in 2001. And then I decided that I would not work anymore to others. I didn't know how to do it. I learned it in practice. I stayed like over 1 year without making any money. I had some economies that money that I saved from the previous jobs. And finally, in the end of 2002, I joined an advertising agency. They have then provided my first payment as a publisher that carries advertising on their pages. It was like $300. It was great because I didn't have much success before that. Later, in the middle of 2003, Google opened what we know the Google AdSense program, and probably I was the first in the world, one of the first in the world to join the AdSense. And for that, I owe Google a lot for several reasons. One, because AdSense provided good revenue for many years. And another, AdSense provided me great traffic from such visitors. By then, I didn't know much of search engine optimization. And this is also interesting because recently I developed a tool written in PHP called For the User. It is a tool that helps website owners to optimize their website pages so they can reach the first page of Google search results for whatever keywords they are focusing in. And with this, I use actually that software as a means, as a success case to demonstrate something that I'm about to release finally after 3 years of development, which is a course that teaches anybody to create their own business, create or evolve. If you already have a business, you can evolve the business with the knowledge that I'm sharing. The course is called Practical Value, which means how to teach people how they can uh, implement a business that provides value to their customers. But the way I teach things, it's using a pragmatic approach. It's something that you can put in practice. It's not like in college that is mostly theory and not much of practice. And this is something that I started in 2015, precisely asking in several PHP developers that participate in PHP classes site, what are their greatest difficulties to try to create their own businesses. And I actually entered the PHP Facebook group where they told me after putting up a survey that one of the greatest difficulties that they have is to find a focus. They know how to develop software, but they don't know what area they should focus to create products or services that will make good money so they can live from. Since I've been doing that since 1999, well, to be more accurate, since 2003 or 2002, when I started receiving the first values, first amount of money from our advertising companies like Google AdSense, I felt that I should be able to teach. And it's not easy because one thing is knowing how to do it, and another thing is knowing how to teach others how to do it. So that has been the latest challenge that I've been, putting up. And that has been taking like about 3 years, but I think I'm finally ready. It is interesting that you are interviewing me now. And one thing that happened is that my current wife, Glaucia, she is my main student. She has a terrible story of life. I'm not going to enter into much details here, but that terrible things happened before she met me. And she met me when I was giving a talk in a local university here in Brazil, in the region that I live. And she was interested to know what I was going to talk about. And I was going to talk about basically design thinking. Design thinking is a method that helps you to create businesses based on products or services that tend to be perfect. That is something that I also learned doing in practice in PHP classes. It helped me a lot to improve the site The site, of course, it's not perfect. There are always complaints of users that are not happy with certain aspects, but there is always the intention to improve it. I use design thinking in practice. Now I teach it as part of the course that I call practical value. It was on one of the modules called precisely perfect product. Well, as I said, there are no perfect products, but we can try to make as good them as possible. So I'm sorry if I took too long, but that is the summary of my whole story to
I
answer
just
your
remember
short question.
you told me once about design thinking, and you really triggered me to research about design thinking. I know you
Right.
are, you have great expertise about design thinking. Anyways, my next question is, you work on full time for your own website, phpclasses.org. Please share some insights how you started it. What were the initial challenges and how did you overcome it?
Well, well, the main thing I have to tell you that I did not do anything alone. Since the beginning, I have help. Nobody can do anything without help of others. Friends, customers, suppliers, uh, you always need help. And I have, uh, there is one person that is very special to me. He- I, I'm not going to mention his name because I don't have his permission. He's very shy, but he's very competent. It was the person that helped me to set up the servers that I have used over the years until today. And I take him as a friend. I already met him personally. He lives in the United States. One like every year, I'm invited by Google to to participate in an event that they call Top Contributor. Because I have a great experience with AdSense, I am a top contributor for AdSense, and every year they invite me to go to Mountain View to learn about new evolutions of their products, ask opinions, and I've always been there for the last 8 years since 2011. So it is going to make 7 years. By the end of October, I count to be there again, and I'm always very grateful to Google. Google is a lot of people, a lot of employees that have helped me in many aspects. And one of the aspects they have helped me is to what to do to make my own sites appear correctly, so they can be optimized to appear in the first pages of Google. And Google has rules, and if you don't comply with those rules, you get penalized. So you better do things by Google rules. Google is not the law, but for in their own context, they are like the law. If you don't comply with their laws, there you you may lose opportunities, and I certainly lost some opportunities because I didn't know very well the laws. Nowadays I know them very well, but that Google was and their employees was just one kind of group of people that helped me a lot. Obviously I cannot forget all the contributors of PHP classes. Over 4,000 contributors sent their components until today. And the PHP community is very polemic. They argue a lot. If you go to Twitter, they stay years there arguing. Actually, I don't participate much in Twitter and Reddit, all those sites. They are fine for people that want to argue. And it's okay to argue. I just cannot justify the time that you spend there. Sometimes you try to explain things to people and they do not believe you. And I'm a person that has the best of the intentions, always want to help others, sometimes even before I can help myself. And the good thing is that there are other good people like you, Atif, that are here to interview me. But maybe you don't know, but you also helped me, giving me your point of view. And I hope to retribute you somehow, uh, hopefully in the future, to help you also. I know that you have a business, and let's see how I can help you. So, to make it short, help others, and sooner or later you get some help back. Okay.
Great, great. Thank you. Uh, I would like to ask you something. What do you think about future of PHP? About when PHP latest version 7.2 was released, how do you see PHP? How much it has changed with time after release of PHP 7, and then preceding PHP 7.2?
Um, well, in the latest times, I have not followed the PHP developments very closely because I've been focusing on other businesses. But I think PHP can still evolve a lot. Um, I often see in Twitter and other sites people arguing, "Oh, is PHP dead? PHP dead?" No, PHP is alive. It may not be very popular for certain purposes because it is more recommended for web development. But in terms of web development, it can still evolve a lot. Uh, I think PHP 8 will be great. From what I know, PHP great is planned to have great features that were missing in PHP. Other languages already have them, JavaScript, Python, and that is okay because the JavaScript and Python developers are also focused and involved in their favorite languages.
Okay.
But the development in the PHP classes, the PHP community continues. And what one thing that I have done recently, and I am having a certain difficulty. Let's see if somebody can help. Is that a lot of people want the PHP elephant, PHP mascot, not exactly the mascot that I use, the version that I use in PHP classes, and I can even show you a, a model that I have there in my front. But what matters is that recently I started taking pre-orders of elephants. uh, I got lots of pre-orders. Not they are not orders, they're pre-orders. The way I thought some crowdfunding to